We are getting closer and closer to the release of Zenless Zone Zero, so I asked you guys to provide me questions to answer for you so you are better prepared when the game releases. Now, just to preface, if I don't answer your question in this video, that possibly means I couldn't figure out how to answer it, or I just didn't have enough time to come up and develop an answer. But hopefully by the time the game releases, any questions that I've missed within this video will be able to answer those in future videos of the game. But I don't even want to hold you guys up. I want to get into our first question right now. For our first question, I was asked about teams from Zero Playtime. They say, about team building mechanic, is there going to be an archetype? You know, like Freeze Team, Vaporize Team, and Hyper Bloom Team in Genshin, or Break Effect Team, Follow Up Team, and Dot Team in HSR? Yes, there are team archetypes, as you say, in Zenless Zone Zero. Currently, the main ones that a lot of people know of are like the Freeze Team builds, the Ether comps, or like a Stun build. I believe a lot of the team building within Zenless Zone Zero are going to be around the anomalies, as well as the strength of the character archetypes that they represent. I don't think we've really dived into like the thick of it when it comes to a lot of these team compositions and how they'll work on either a mathematical level or an execution basis thing. That is something we're probably gonna get more depth into once the game officially releases. But so far, if you are familiar with Genshin and HSR, or really any previous HoYo games team building within those two games, then you're going to be very much at home when it comes to Zenless Zone Zero. Next, we have a question from Energia. If I'm pronouncing names wrong, I apologize. They say, what are your thoughts on ZZZ after a few years? Do you think it will be as fun as it was, or as burnout as Genshin? I believe this question is asking the overall enjoyment for ZZZ as time progresses. Will it become better, or will it die off? And in my opinion, I think ZZZ is a game that will become progressively better as it's coming out. I think ZZZ will follow a trend of it'll have a really good release, it'll falter pretty hard because of some of the elements in the game that a lot of people won't like or won't be able to get past, and then as the game progresses, the team will be able to understand more what the core audience enjoys and what are the mess ups that they have within the game, just because a lot of things that they needed to fix can't completely be removed upon release. And I believe that the game will have a lot stronger future because they'll be able to improve upon the combat, reel in that strong HoYo effect of providing good story and character interaction for people to enjoy, and it'll overall be a lot stronger game than what it will be within its first few months, or maybe within its first year. The same user also asked another question stating, based on your gameplay and your experience, who is stronger, Zhu Yuan or Ellen? Which one would you recommend worth pulling for? Now, I'm going to do a whole dedicated video for this overall discussion, but to just give you guys a basic answer, both of these units are really strong to go for. The only difference between them is that one has stronger team comps, or at least a already pre-built team comp in comparison to another, and that character is Ellen. There's already pretty good units for a Freeze team, but for either team, it's really only Nicole at the moment that really helps out Zhu Yuan, but I'm pretty sure we'll either discover maybe another unit helps out for a Zhu Yuan team as well, or that there'll be other units that comes out after her, whether it be 4 stars or 5 stars, that makes her have a lot stronger team overall. But I think both units are fun. Zhu Yuan is my personal favorite, but you really can't go wrong with either one of them, honestly. Next, we have a question from AOETP, and they ask, how exactly are the two MCs you choose different? Does it simply swap their dialogue depending on who you choose, or is there more to it? From what I understand with the difference between the two NPCs, one, if you pick, say you pick the male MC, you'll be experiencing the story from his perspective, but a lot of the dialogue and exposition of the story will be told through the female MC, and vice versa if you pick the other gender. From my understanding, everything about the story is told similarly or pretty much the same, but how the dialogue is explained through their different personalities and standpoints of the characters are a little bit different, but overall it is pretty much the same. Next up is Bob the Bot. They ask, how do story quests work? It looks like Soldier 11's quest just randomly appears, and also are there other story quests in the beta other than Soldier 11's? I heard Nekomata has one, but I don't know if it's true. There's also the two MCs having their own story quest, but that looks more like an interlude quest between chapter 1 and 2. How story quests work, it is going to be dedicated on how far you progress through the story. As you progress through the story, that's when you're going to be getting introduced to newer characters, and when those newer characters come about, that's when you will be getting their little side stories to understand who they are and develop as a character. You didn't have the whole persona element of being able to hang out with them after you get past those points, and being able to develop a trust with them and understand more about them as they come along. Nekomata is another character that has a character story as well, and I believe some of the 4-star units have a quest too, maybe not as dedicated as like Nekomata and Soldier 11, but they do have those persona elements of being able to hang out with them and being able to understand them more as characters. To answer your question about the MCs these stories are told through the main plot of it. If you guys don't know the basic plot of it, essentially the MCs are legendary hackers, and they had to get rid of their name because they were hacked by, from what we're understanding, the government, or I believe the device is called Fairy. And what they had to do is that they had to take away their legendary status, and they're essentially building up their hacking street cred back up. That is the general gist of it. If you guys want to have a better understanding of the lore, I would definitely suggest you guys to check out my boy Azrael Vanity and my guy Zeta Slow. Azrael has already started making lore content, so he's definitely going to be your go-to person to understanding the lore of ZZZ, and Zeta is definitely upon on his way of making lore content as well. These will be the main guys I'm always going to be referencing you to for lore content for Zenless, so definitely check their channels out. I'll be leaving them in the description. If you made it this far into the video, remember to join my battle pass giveaway. I'm doing a Zenless Zone Zero battle pass giveaway as soon as the game releases, and if you guys want to enter, remember to subscribe to the channel and comment down below how excited are for you for Zenless Zone Zero. Are you looking forward to it? Is it one of your most anticipated gacha games of the year, or do you not really care about it so much? Please be honest in the comment section below how you guys are feeling. Everybody has different interests in video games, and some people are excited and some people are not, so I understand that, but I just want to know how everybody's feeling as we're getting closer to the game's release. But I don't want to hold you guys up any longer. Let's get back into the video. Next, we have a change from Jué Qū. They asked what characters from the beta work best on the team. Will there be official changes to the game on release? I don't know if there will be any major changes for the game on release, but what characters work best on the team, that is something that is going to take a whole separate video to do, which I'm going to be doing a video about team building and how all that works either before release or right when the game releases, so stay tuned for that. But right now I can't really answer all that within a short amount of time. Next up, Energy. Again, I'm just going down the list, and they asked, are you going to be a full-time ZZZ guide maker? And the answer to that is not necessarily guide maker, content creator, more than likely. I'm really loving ZZZ, and I want to cover it as long as I can, as long as everybody is supporting the content I'm making. I'm more than likely going to be covering everything of ZZZ. My whole goal isn't to be exactly a guide maker. I will be making some guides, but I do want to have like an element of gameplay and fun events and video ideas I have for the future. Guide making is a part of it, but that won't be what solely I do for my content. You guys will definitely see once we get the ball rolling after the game releases. Next is Plovto. Is it supposed to be Plovto, or did somebody take the name Pluto? I'm going to say Pluto, but you can definitely correct me in the comments if I'm saying it incorrectly. And you ask, is controller support already in for all platforms, or is it at least planned? And speaking on all platforms, what platform exactly would it be released on? Zenless Zone Zero will be releasing on mobile, PC, and PlayStation, and yes, they all do have controller support. Next, we have XDX Wheels, and they ask, I see a lot of teams full of the same elements like Mono Ice, Ellen, Lycan, and Sakaku being pretty popular. Do you think hybrid teams can be just as powerful as mono element teams, assuming the right characters are used? And yes, I believe those are probably going to be the more stronger teams as we progress through the meta of the game, because of the whole concept of disorder. Disorder is rewarding players of using two different elements within their team in order to get the disorder anomaly effect to trigger additional damage. I believe disorder teams are going to be some of the strongest characters to build, but I'm pretty sure mono element teams are also going to be really great as well. Next, we have Enerfail. I'm sorry, I'm atrocious with names, but they ask, how do you add/see friends in their profile, and can they play co-op with you? If so, how? Once you get into the game, I believe there is a section to add people on your friend list. I don't have any gameplay of that, or at least recording of that, but I'm pretty sure it has a similar setup as like Genshin and or Honkai Star Rail. And yes, you can play co-op with friends, but currently we don't have an invite feature to invite friends into the game. You have to just magically match up with each other to play together, but I'm hoping that by release there will be some sort of invite system, which I'm pretty sure they're going to add into there at some point, because they did ask us to provide feedback in order to improve co-op, so I very much expect that feature to at least be one of the main things they're going to be adding into it for the game. Next, we have Dandy Boy 420, and it said, I'm looking forward to your take on resource management in the game. I'm seeing a lot of currency resource names and it's getting confusing. Oh, and I heard the daily grind is a time-consuming. Care to show us your daily runs activity? Whatever you drop, I'm sure you'll cook. Appreciate that, Dandy. And when it comes to resource management in the game, there is a lot of different currencies within there, but I believe it's kind of good that a lot of things are separated into different currencies so they don't have to spill over into each other. It's not as hard to manage as you may think it is. It's pretty much the same as previous games like Genshin and HSR. And when it comes to the daily grind of the game, yes, once you get through the primary content of the game, once you clear the story, once you start rotating and doing in-game pretty consistently throughout the week, it does not take you long to do the daily activities in Zenless at all. You can honestly log on 5 to 10 minutes, finish and clear everything, log back off, do whatever you want. It's pretty easy breezy cover girl. It's pretty clean to get through whatever you need to do for Zenless on a day-to-day basis. Next is Anonymous, and they ask, are weapons worth pulling for in ZZZ? Yes, I believe W engines are going to be very worth it into the game, and I also have a video on the way describing this in very much detail on why they're going to be worth pulling for, but that will be a discussion I will have. Will you always need to pull for them for every character? More than likely not, but it seems like the goal for a lot of the weapons in this game, which are the W engines, they're going to be very significant or very specific to enhancing the unit that they are directly made for. But there, of course, just like any of the other HoYo games, there are pretty good strong alternatives if you don't pull for them. Next is, I'm just going to say Haku. And it says, is the timing for character swap a bit forgiving? I'm a little slower than most on reaction times due to a few issues. Also, are you going to do some tutorial guides and stuff? If so, could you talk instead of what I see others doing with subtitle formats? And yes, I believe the game is pretty forgiving and really casual to get into. There is some in-game content that spikes up difficulty a little bit, but for the most part, just like any gacha game, it's really easy for casuals to get into and understand how the game works. Of course, I'm going to be making content to help you guys out if you are struggling with anything, and I'm going to help you guys improve the best way I can. Yes, I'm going to be making tutorial guides, gameplay videos, fun challenges, all that stuff for Zenless, so you don't have to worry about that. I also don't really do subtitle videos. I always like to include my own voice into my content, so you really don't have to worry about that either. I'm always going to be here voicing and telling how I feel. And finally, which I didn't realize we actually went through these comments pretty fast, and they asked, is the game free to play friendly? For what I'm seeing, I believe this game is pretty free to play friendly. It follows a very similar metric as of which they did with HSR. HSR seems to be the blueprint or the bones of the game when it comes to their monetization model for it, as well as some of the content ideas that they have for like in-game and progressing the story and like events and stuff, so on and so forth. HSR seems to be the core blueprint of it, so I think we're in pretty good hands when it comes to that case, because HSR did some major strides of what a lot of their previous games didn't include, and I believe it's one of the best gacha games on the market when it comes to being free to play friendly. Very much expects a similar experience for Zenless Zone Zero. I have a very much in-depth video on how free to play friendly the game truly is by every detail coming out very soon. It might be the video directly after this one. If not, it'll be 1 to 2 videos later. And that's it for all the questions. I thought there was a lot more questions here, but it seems like some people just repeated a few questions and others were just saying stuff that really weren't questions at all. They're just excited for the game, which I am too. But I hope that this Q&A helped you guys out. And you are excited for Zenless Zone Zero just like me. If not, I hope a lot of you guys still at least try the game and find out for yourself, instead of taking a lot of people's opinions face value and leaving the game right there. I know a lot of people within the West aren't super excited about it just because there's games like Wuwa that exist. And you know what? I can't even fault you. Wuwa is a very fun game. So if that's what you're enjoying and putting your time into, I understand everybody doesn't have all the time of the day to play these different mini games, especially when there's a bunch of gacha games out at the moment. But if Zenless looks cool to you and you're kind of on the skeptical side if you want to play it or not, definitely give it a chance. I'll be here to provide content to help you guys get through the game, understand everything that's provided within it, and I'll be very honest with how I feel about the game at all times, no matter what, and I promise that. But I appreciate you guys and all your love and support. Remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new, and always remember to believe in you that believes in yourself. I'll see you guys in the next one.